Thank you so much, Judy, for spending a few minutes with me today. I really appreciate it. And I am so excited because this is probably one of my favorite topics of all time, believe it or not. I love talking about the subconscious and your mindset. And I remember when my dad came to me and told me about you guys had connected and he'd heard so much and he was really excited with the session that you did together. I couldn't wait to sit down and talk to you for a few minutes. So thank you so much for the time today. I really appreciate it.
I'm so happy that you invited me. I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah. So I'd love to know to get started. Again, I have heard a decent amount from my dad. He just really, really loved talking to you. But I'd love to know what kind of pulled you to what you're doing today with, helping people with their subconscious and et cetera. And I'm sure there are better words that you know for it. I'd love to know what pulled you in that direction.
I saw it work. The process I use is called Kane, and I saw it work with my former husband. And he was at the time having a physical issue. He had a pain somewhere. I don't even remember where it was. And a friend of his knows this process and asked if she could help, get rid of the pain. And he said, sure. And I was there. And in 5 minutes, his pain was gone, which got my attention.
Yeah.
Right. And the thing that struck me about it, in addition to it working, was the fact that she wasn't needing to interpret anything or sense anything special. It was just a process she did. It was something I could do with no known special gifts in that direction at the moment. Right? And so I was just really interested in the potential for it because it's not used just for physical symptoms, it's for everything in your life.
Sure.
So, I signed up for a workshop and I was so excited. I signed up for all the workshops and my intention was to use it just for myself and people I knew who wanted to change something, but then I wanted to share it with more people. So I formed the company in 2014.
Wow, that is so awesome, and that's so cool. So I'd love to for you to explain a little bit more about what that means specifically, just for people to get a basic understanding. Because sometimes if someone sees it, they're like, I have no idea what Site K is. I don't know what this is.
Right.
Maybe a general idea. I'd love for you to tell me a little bit more about that.
Sure. Well, first, let's start with what subconscious beliefs are, right? Because some people don't know about those. They think they're conscious beliefs. So sometimes people notice they have patterns in their life that aren't helping them achieve their goals that they're trying to hit, right? They might have a pattern of relationships that weren't supportive, or they might have a pattern of sabotaging themselves when they've got goals, procrastination, or a fear of doing something in particular. All sorts of things can come up. And if it's a pattern, then you've probably got subconscious beliefs that are working against you there. And that's important to know because subconscious beliefs control about 95% of your behavior. They are your default mode, and you don't necessarily know what they are other than seeing what's happening in your life. So when they are limiting you, you're not being able to do the things you're choosing to do. So that's where I come in and help change those beliefs so that they support your conscious goals instead of work against you.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah. And the Site K process that I use uses muscle testing, and it's a very fast process. Usually you can change any one belief in less than 5 minutes.
Wow.
So I've never had a phobia client that took the full hour. Other things are usually more complicated than phobias. So, but it's a very fast process.
Wow, that is so cool. I have a question. Have people ever come to you and say, hey, Judy, I have this problem and I have no idea what's even systemic. I don't know what the subconscious belief is. I just know that this is kind of what's happening. I have no idea what this even means. Do you know based off just kind of experience, or is there a process you go through to help them discover? Or are you just like, no, I know what that result is. I know where the cause is.
No. We rely on the people's wisdom. But I mean, I've done this since 2011, so I've got some experience. But they come in, and if they don't know what it is, they start with, well, what's happening now that they don't like? And
Mm-hmm.
what would you rather be experiencing?
Mm,
That's sometimes a hard question for people. They know what they don't want. They don't often know what they do want.
this is true.
So then it's a conversation, and then we figure out, well, what would the beliefs need to be to support that new experience?
Mm-hmm.
And then we muscle test to see if the subconscious believes them or not. And if it doesn't, then we change them.
Wow, that is really, really cool. That's so awesome. Love that. Is there anything that you think maybe people can start with? This might be actually a really bad question, I'm not sure. Um, to start with to kind of maybe understand their subconscious beliefs a little bit better and how
Mm-hmm.
they can work with it. Just a small thing to start with. Of course, they should definitely come to you if they want to get it done in 5 minutes. But if they
Right?
need, if they are like, oh, I just want to kind of think about it because I have no idea what my subconscious beliefs are, but it's definitely something I want to learn.
Look for the patterns. Like, one instance of procrastination does not mean you've got subconscious beliefs working against you, but
Sure.
look for the patterns that are not helping you get where you want to go.
Mm-hmm.
That's a good place to start. The other thing to do is spend some time figuring out exactly what it is you want. Be clear about it. Get really good visual details of what that looks like when it's true. What does it sound like? What are people saying about it? What are you saying about it? Think about
Mm-hmm.
how it feels when that is true. And that's not just like, what's my emotion? It's like, what does that emotion feel like in my body?
Right.
Where is it? Does it have a color? Does it have a shape? Seriously. I mean, you want to describe for your subconscious all the pieces and parts of what that's supposed to look like. And sometimes that can be enough. But if not, at least it lets you know what it is you want to change.
Sure.
Yeah,
Yeah, definitely. That is really cool. That's so awesome. I really love that. Thank you so much for sharing.
sure.
Um, so I'm sure that you've gone through a lot. You said you've been doing this specifically since 2011, and I'm sure you've done some other things as well. I'd like to know during your experiences, is there anything that you've learned that you'd love to pass on to the younger generation moving forward? Or some advice maybe you've heard, or maybe even something that can help kids with their subconscious, because that's a pretty we're still young and impressionable, and I know that a lot of our subconscious beliefs are still building, um,
Yes.
and that's maybe something that they wouldn't really think about until now. It's like what you're like 50, 60, and you're like, oh my gosh, I didn't even realize I had these beliefs when I was a kid because it was so normal.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. Absolutely. So I'll do both if there's time.
I'd love that.
So in terms of talking about the subconscious beliefs, most of them get there by the time you're 7.
Mm,
You come in with not many. It's kind of blank, and you absorb what's in your family, in your environment, the things that you come across, like a little sponge. And that's what helps you get along with the people that you landed with when you got here, right? And some of those beliefs are helpful, and some of them aren't, right? So, that's just something to know, that you come in with it and that you can change them. That's the big thing, is that you're not, if you feel like you're, stuck in a repeating pattern that's not happy for you, it doesn't mean it's just the way your life needs to be. So don't just say, well, it's just the way I am and nothing's ever going to be any better.
right.
Don't accept it. In terms of wisdom, it's kind of tied to that. Yeah, don't accept things that aren't feeling like they're the way you want to be going. I mean, there are things you can always do. You have choices, and don't just accept the status quo because it's the easiest thing to do. Think about it. Figure out ways to change it if it's not working for you. The other thing I would say for advice is get used to getting in touch with your own wisdom. A lot of times we go through life and just depend on the wisdom of others, thinking that they know more, but this is your life. So you've got to start figuring out how to hear your own inner wisdom and do things that are, in sync with that.
Yeah, that's really, yeah. I think we definitely have a lot more wisdom inside than we may give ourselves credit for.
Absolutely.
And I know I'm so bad with that sometimes. Like I get an intuition feeling, and I'm like, is that really? Should I be thinking of this right now? Should I be doing this? I can't tell. I feel like it, but I don't know. I can't tell.
Yeah. You want to build up that listening muscle and paying attention to your intuition, because that's telling you what's best for you, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Like I
Yeah.
remember there was this time that I had gone out to eat with my family. And I think I was still pretty young, like maybe 12 or so. And we were ordering, and I just wasn't feeling that hungry. And I was like, oh, I think I'll just have like this small, like pasta. And I was like, no, that's not enough. That's not enough protein. You need to eat more. And so she made me order like one of the bigger dishes. And I couldn't finish like even like half of it. And then my dad was like, yeah, you should have just listened to yourself. And I was like, I think about that sometimes when you come to hearing advice and from ourselves or others, is that we know ourselves best, and we should listen to people, and then we should listen to ourselves, and then kind of compare and see what we can merge together, if that makes any sense.
It makes perfect sense. That's a good plan. Yeah.
Yeah, that's great. Well, I'd love to ask a few more questions before we hop off, because I remember that you had mentioned that you had written a book, which is so, so cool, because it is definitely not an easy feat by any stretch of the imagination. I'd love for you to tell me a little bit more about that book, like what inspired you to start writing it, what's the book about, and then obviously where people can find the book.
Sure, I'd be happy to. So the book is Your Four Truths, and there aren't any spaces in that, and the four is the numeral four. How beliefs impact your life. And it's talking about the four areas of beliefs that I have seen impact my clients and myself and other people the most. And so if you believe these four truths, your life is going to be a lot easier. And the four different areas are that you are safe, that you are worthy, that you're lovable, and that you're connected to something bigger than yourself. So the book goes into what subconscious beliefs are, how you can notice them, those four categories, and clues within each of those of, well, you might have a fear of failure if this is what's happening in your life, right? And you might not feel safe speaking up and being seen if this is what's happening in your life. So that's kind of how the book goes. And it's available in, pretty much all the normal places people can get books. If you go to my website, alignedconsciousness.com, there's a tab on there called book. And that's got a link to all the places you can find it.
Wow, that is awesome. And I love what the book is about, because that is so true that a lot of the problems that people face do stem from those four beliefs. It means, there's something missing, and I feel like it's so easy to get confused and complicated, but those are the four that really, really are in control of a lot of how you live your life. And I think that is so beautiful that you're able to write that book. On that, so I will definitely, first of all, link the book and your website in the description when I post this. And then also, I'd love to read the book as well. So I'll definitely look into that, because I love reading, but also that is a really, really great topic.
Thank you.
Yeah, of course. Well, thank you so much for the time today. I really appreciate it. This has been a blast, and I have learned so much, and it's been so eye-opening for me. So I really appreciate you taking the time. Is there any last thing you'd kind of like to throw out there before I wrap it up?
No, I appreciate you doing this. And yeah, I invite people to, certainly buy the book, or just go to my website and poke around, see what you can see. There's some free resources there. You could learn stuff.
Perfect. That sounds great. So I'll be able to link those in the description so people can find it a little bit easier and learn some more, because this is such an important topic that it's not really something you can avoid. You can't really avoid having a brain and your mind.
No, you don't want to.
That is also true. You don't really want to. So thank you so much for the time today. I really appreciate it.
Thank you.